Oh, what did I do there? There you go. Hi, hi everyone. Peter Lisiaga here, and I'm your host for the Family Living in the Now podcast. And I'm so excited for today's show, and I can't wait for all of you to hear what my guest Christine has to say about mindfulness, meditation, yoga, for all my subscribers and everyone out there who are parents. But before we get started, if you are new to my channel, be sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you have a question or comment, please share in the comment section below. If you're on Facebook, watching on Facebook, you guys know what to do. Go ahead and comment right below if you have a question. And let's get started. Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on my podcast and share.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. I think this is such an important message for families, especially now. So I'm grateful to be able to share it.
Yeah, can you do this? For some people who may not know you, can you please, for those parents out there that may not know you, of course, please share with them a little bit about you and some of your background, and then we'll go ahead and get into the meat of what we want to talk about.
Absolutely. So I have been teaching high school English since 2001. And when I was teaching, I started to practice yoga about 15 years ago. And I fell in love with the practice, and it kind of, organically, I moved into getting my yoga certification. And I was approached by one of the teachers at the studio to start teaching kids yoga. And in bringing yoga to kids, I started to see the positive effect that this mindfulness and thinking about your movements and thinking about what you're doing can do for children. In that time span, I became a mom. I have two beautiful girls, Maria, who's 6, and Clara, who is 3. And even my 3-year-old likes to practice yoga, and we practice mindfulness as much as we can. I'm not going to say I could do anything perfectly. And I surely make my mistakes as a parent, but I'm in this, in this struggle and working through to try to bring a sense of peace in this crazy world. And I'm so excited to come to your studio.
Well, I love it that when we connected, we started talking, and then we finally met, and we got this idea. We got this idea to do a live in-person workshop for parents. So we're calling it Parenting and Child Mindfulness and Movement. It's a workshop. It's going to be on January 21st, a Saturday, and the link is right below to find out more about that. But before we go into that, yesterday, I went to my socials and to all my group, to our parents on my list, and I asked them the question, what question should I ask Christine? And this is her expertise. And I got quite a bit of questions. So what I'd like to do before we go into, because I would love for you to explain the workshop and talk about what that will look like, and what that experience is, and how much fun the kids are going to have. And so do you mind if I go ahead and ask some of the questions that the parents had asked?
Bring it on.
All right. So let me go ahead and go to the first one here. Let me see down over here. Let's come up here. Let's go to, first of all, is that when they're, what is mindfulness?
Okay. So a lot of people have a lot of ideas about what mindfulness is. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fair. It's definitely become a buzzword. It's really about thinking about what we're doing instead of just doing things. And I was actually taking a yoga class this morning, and, the universe gives us what we need, right? And the yoga instructor said, we're not human doings, we're human beings. And we sometimes forget to just be, and that our existence is for a reason, and that we're bringing a lot of joy to others that we forget about. So mindfulness is about taking that time and thinking about what we're doing. So kind of going along with that, I'm talking to some colleagues at work today, and work lets out. It's Friday afternoon. It's 2:00. I work at a high school. Everyone's running out the door. Lockdown. So the teachers, we're still there, running back into our classrooms, locking the door, turning off the lights, texting each other, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. Turns out it was a mistake. Okay. So we're all, now we're all a buzz. All the teachers are talking. Now we're all in each other's classroom. What was that? Oh my gosh, I was so scared. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, you guys, I'm going to go to a mindfulness workshop right now. This is crazy. We just had this crazy experience. And then I noticed that my friend Stephanie was scrolling through her computer. And I remembered a mindfulness technique that is so simple, and that is to listen. So I started to zone in on the clicking of the scroll, and it calmed me down. And one of my friends said, "What? I don't think I could do that mindfulness thing." And I said, "Do you hear Steph's mouse?" And he was like, "Well, yeah. It's nice, right? Do you hear the radiator right now? Oh, yeah. Do you hear those noises in the background? No, I don't even hear those noises." And I was like, "Listen, I do." He was like, "Yeah." And it's kind of like that, Peter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's thank you so much for that. It reminds me of, because when I teach our kids and our parents, about about self-defense, because as a martial arts instructor, it's one of the big things that people come to our school for, self-defense, and we talk about awareness. And mindfulness reminds me of being aware, always aware of your surroundings. And so I always tell them, how far does something have to go before you are aware it's gone too far? So it has to start with awareness and being mindful of every moment, who you're with, and the environment. So thank you so much for sharing that, because I know people have all kinds of ideas of what mindfulness could be, but it's like you said, it's just basically just being in the now and being right where you are, being what I call sometimes present focused. And with those that you are, like right now, we're together, you and I, we're here, we're being mindful and being focused, being present for us, for those that are listening to us out there. So let me look at another question here, because some of your answer to that question helps with the answer to the other questions, which is great. And I have one here from a parent that said, let me go ahead and put it up there. How can I make mindfulness a part of my family's daily routine?
So I've been thinking about that question in my own life, and I know it's day 6 of 2023, but we've been good for 6 days so far. We have, and I'm not a crafty person, so I don't have mason jars and cute little jars. I have a protein powder shaker bottle. And every day we put in a little sticky note, and it has to be right by the sink, because I'm at the sink every single day. There's a pen, there's paper, there's the shaker bottle. At the end of every day when I'm washing the dishes, which is every day, I cannot avoid this job, we write down one good thing that happened that day. Throw it in the shaker bottle. And we're excited for December 31st to dump it out and remember. And it's that moment, I'm washing the dishes and I say to the kids, "Hey, we need something good that happened today for our goal." "Oh yeah, this happened or this happened." And just that little 3 minutes kind of puts us all in check. Another thing that I've been reading a lot is about our relationship with food. I don't know. Have you been reading about this, Peter? And mindfulness? Okay, so
Relationships with food, right?
Our relationship with food.
Oh yeah, without question, because I'm doing a carnivore diet, so I've done a lot of deep research. So go on about the relationship with food.
Well, so it kind of probably goes along with your carnivore diet, which we'll have to talk about. The idea that eating is an activity, and that should be the activity. And I eat my breakfast in the car every day. I should not, because I'm not even tasting my food. I'm not even enjoying it the way that I should enjoy it. I'm just fueling. So one of the things that they suggest is really making food a moment for you and your family, and saying like, hey, did you like the chicken that we had today? What did you like about it? Do you think it was crunchier? Do you like it when it's a little mushier? Do you like these noodles better than the other? Let's face it, mac and cheese box that we have. Does it feel differently? What do you like? And just like experiencing that and talking about it.
Yeah.
And everything I've read, and I'm not saying that I'm always good at this, but everything I've read says no phones during meals. No phones, no TV, no tablets. I'm not going to lie, it's a struggle, but it makes a difference.
Yeah, I remember years ago, I was introduced to a book about, I think his name is what's his name? Had to do with eating and about being mindfulness. It's mindfulness. And one of the chapters was about when you sit down and eat, to be mindful of every spoonful, put it in your mouth and taste it, and just let it sit in your mouth and taste the flavors, and just be in that present moment. So that's definitely something that people can do to make mindfulness part of their family's daily practice. And I think the kids would love that. It'd be a lot of fun.
Well, and they say that you can make that like food prep too, making lunches together and doing those chores together and preparing a meal together. And I know we don't all have time for that every day. I understand that, but it's just the idea of doing one thing at a time. Like you and I are right now. I mean, I can't have my kids here right now because I'm talking to you, and I can't be a good listener to you and a good listener to them. So instead, I would be half listening to you both. And the mindfulness is about doing that one thing at a time.
Yes.
And having our kids say, okay, you're coloring. That's the activity. You're not coloring and watching TV and having a snack. You're coloring. Yeah. If you want to have a snack, you're having a snack. Not my kids. Sometimes they're like, shovel, color, TV's on, those are, and it's so simple, but it's so difficult sometimes.
Yeah. And this, again, being present, focused, and us teaching our kids to do that. And I have a saying now that, because no one's perfect, but my saying right now is more often than not, I'm this, as opposed to, let's say, a year from now, 5 years from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I'm much better today. So more often than not, I am making better choices. And so I think it's just keeping mindful of that we don't have to be perfect, but we do the best that we can, and we lead the way. And more often than not, we'll get it right.
Yeah.
But we got to be mindful, right? We got to be aware and mindful. I love it.
You're not going to get it right if you don't think about it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point. That's the real punchline, isn't it? And so here's a question that was asked by a parent, and let me go ahead and put it up there. It says, what can kids do with their anger, these big feelings, and what strategies can they use that can help channel that? And I know we're talking about mindfulness, but this was a question that a parent asked, and I just wanted to make sure that I get presented to you and get your insight.
I think it depends on the kid, honestly. I think it depends on the kid, and I think we have to change the vocabulary that we use around anger and around what we call is, misbehaving. And it's just behaving. And it's behaving in a way, it's an emotion. Anger is an emotion. We're going to feel it. We got to feel our feelings. We're not doing anything bad by feeling those feelings, but we have to recognize them and think about them. And the hard thing is, when my kids, they're upset about something, they want to throw things, they're stomping around the house. And if we can just get them to stop and think. And I've seen this strategy work where you stop and you ask them a question that requires a little bit of thinking. Like, hey, Maria, name 3 things in this room that you don't like. She's like, what? What? And what? Name 3 things in this room you don't like. Or name 3 things that you do. Or stop. And, just take a breath. Take 2 breaths. And then you can do some more screaming. They're not going to do more screaming because they've stopped. And then it's going to seem inauthentic to them. Kids don't like that. Nobody likes that. So it's kind of all about like you said, like the question. I love the question. I love the parent who asked the question because it's not about taking that energy away. It's about channeling it and about saying, you got to think the big things. And then once you calm them down, then you revisit. So you were throwing some stuff around. Why were you doing that? Oh, because you didn't get to color? Is that really you didn't get to color? Oh, because your sister always gets to color and you don't. Okay. What do you get to do that she doesn't? But you can't talk to a kid who's in it. You can't talk to an adult who's in it.
Right.
I am sometimes inapproachable until I calm down. I don't know, and it's about self-regulation, right? And once we teach them a strategy, it's like, okay, that's 3 smells I smell right now. It's 3 sounds I hear. What can I do to calm myself down in that moment and then think about what's wrong and address it? And I think we have to address it.
Yeah.
I
I think also that this is why I love the workshop that we're going to do. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Is that for us to really be helpful to our kids when our children are having these big emotions, is to be mindful and aware of our own mental and emotional states, and then make sure we check ourselves first because we cannot be angry, we cannot be frustrated. We have to make sure. And remember, we were talking about that love acronym, right?
I love that.
Yeah, we have to look at our children, but first we have to check ourselves. And again, this is why mindfulness for me is it's so important. So I thank you so much for sharing that, because the parents, I know we parents need to be mindful. There's a saying I heard many years ago, I'm sure you've heard it. It says that successful people know what to do. We just need to be reminded.
Yeah.
I think parents, we know what to do, but we get caught up on the front line of parenting, that we're in the heat or the fog of that little battle. And so we have to be mindful of that. And that's why I think this workshop is really, really great. So I'm going to leave it there, because a lot of the questions here that were asked were basically you answered them within the other ones. They're all very, very similar. And so let's talk about the workshop. And I know you and I got together and to do this workshop. I'm going to be doing it in Mount Laurel, at our location in Mount Laurel. And again, right below is the link for that information. And but yeah, can you share with other people what they would expect in this kind of workshop? Because I've never been to a workshop like this, but after speaking to you explaining it to me, we wrote down what it would look like. I was so excited about that. Let me go ahead and put the link right below there. That's the link there. So you go to peterlinciaga.com/, and I'm calling it Family 2023. Okay.
I love it.
And so everyone can go there. But can you share with other people what that workshop will look like?
Sure. Absolutely. So we're combining a whole bunch of things. It's going to be an open conversation, but we're going to do some movement too. So the first part of the workshop, it's you and your family. It is family time, no screens, no distractions. And I have a couple of fun activities to do with your child, kind of talk about what's going on. And I honestly think that a lot of parents, I always include myself, we don't often give ourselves that 10 minutes of quiet, let's chat time for whatever reason. And that part is going to be built in. So you're going to have this time to talk with your family. What's working in the family? And I have, we have some prompts, we got some stuff. What's working at home? How are we feeling? What's getting us down? What's building us up? What can we do better? How are we feeling in general? And then we're going to come together. We're going to talk about it, talk about some strategies, because I know it's an old saying and we all know it, but there's a reason why we all know it. It takes a village. It does. And as a community, we can learn from each other. And I bet you I walk away from this, this class, learning a bunch of strategies on how to, parent and how to talk to people. I'm sure it's going to be learning for me too. And, we're going to strategize and we're going to talk about ways and talk about things that get us down and how we handle them and things like that. And then we're going to move. And that's the fun part. We're going to do some yoga. We're going to do some breathing exercises, some movement exercises, so that maybe we could say like, hey, you know what? Remember we took that little movement class, that yoga class? Let's do some of those, those wacky poses. And for adults, it's a risk for us. Sometimes we get a little self-conscious, but the kids love yoga. My little yogis are right now, they're in 1st to 3rd grade, and you'd be amazed. Well, you'll see it, that they are locked into that movement. They want to do it right. They want to try it. And they're not talking about anything else. They're not asking to do anything else. They want to move. And we can talk about how our movement can kind of help us regulate our emotions. And there are little things that we can do, even at our desk at school, when so-and-so is bothering us, some breathing practices that we can do to calm ourselves down and remember who we are. And then we're going to do a meditation, and we're going to lay down and we're going to take some time and we're going to recognize our bodies and our beings for how great they are and share a little gratitude. And, we'll do some Q&A, but I think it's going to be really fun for families for a lot of people, the yoga movements are a little goofy and, we're doing some balancing and we're going to fall down. And I think that vulnerability, for a kid to see a parent fall down trying to do something, there's a lesson there that I think is invaluable.
I totally agree. It's funny because we'll have like this month, we're having parents come into us in our school and train, and parents love it. And they can come to the adult class, but some of them want to come to their kids' class and train with their kids. And the kids love seeing their parents. And like you said, you're putting yourself in a position where you're vulnerable and yeah, you don't have all the answers. You don't get everything right. And you might look a little clumsy, or even if you look like you're a rock star with it, the kids are just amazed. They just love seeing their parent. And all of a sudden, those nice little moments, you become like a hero for them. And just like they go, oh, and they love it. And they get the big hug. So I love seeing that. So I can't wait for that. That's exciting. And I know when our parents do our karate forms, I've heard more than one parent say, oh my gosh, this is just like moving meditation. And, because there's a lot of breathing. Mm-hmm. And so it's so relaxing. And I can't wait for our parents to be introduced to this. And I know our community is going to come in. Everyone's welcome to come on in. We only have spots for 15 families. And so the families, we do have a family coming in. There's a family of 5. So we talked about that. So we have for 15 families. So link is right there. And I want to finish up with a big question that I had, and I wanted to ask you. And thinking of 2022, now we're in the beginning of 2023.
Mhm.
Thinking of 2022, what stands out the most to you when you think about parents and families?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Um,
That's something that came to me as I was listening to all these questions. And I've been speaking to parents over the last several months, especially the last couple of weeks, and most definitely as recent as yesterday. My job is as a program director is really meet with the parents, and they have some big questions. And so I just want to ask you that question, just reflecting back on 2022, what stands out the most for you when it comes to parents and the families?
well, when it comes to my family, I think the thing that stands out to me is communication and the gaps that we have in communication sometimes within our family. And I think that our workshop's going to really help with that when we talk about the things that bother us, because I think, it always seems to be true. Once you talk to somebody, there's always a surprise in there, like, oh, that bothers you? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I won't do that anymore. I think that we tend to bottle up, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to be open about that. So I think communication is a big factor. And then you and I were talking about how, and I hate to keep bringing up the pandemic, but as an educator, it just keeps coming back. I think there's a fear in all of us. What if it happens again? What are we going to do? How can we prepare? And I think that parents are concerned. There's a new anxiety in the house, and especially now in this cold and flu season, is it COVID? Is it not COVID? Am I going to quarantine? I think that there's this new level of anxiety that we have to deal with, and it's scary.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's why I love so much, the beginning of the workshop, set it up where the parents communicate. You set up a fun activity where they actually communicate with each other and share. And I can't wait to see and experience that. And so thank you so much for answering that question. That was a big question that I had. So,
I hope I did all right. I don't know.
Oh, you did fantastic. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you sharing and being honest. I know when we met the other day to go over the outline, and I could tell that we were both have a desire to be genuine and as transparent as possible and honest, because I know we both see it beyond us. It's about those that we serve. You as a teacher and an educator, as a health professional, as far as mindset and with the yoga, with the breathing and movement. Me, same thing. I just want the best. And I was talking to my daughter today, and my goal has always been to bring meaning to my life. But I know the only way I bring meaning to my life is by bringing meaning to other people's lives. And so this is, I know that's what we're going to do. So thank you so much for bringing meaning to my life and sharing with our community. And I can't wait for the workshop. And so everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I know some of you guys will probably be watching the replay. I know some of you guys couldn't make it to 3:00, but that's fine. Watch the replay. Know that we have the workshop link, peterlisiaga.com/family 2023. And you can definitely connect with us on social, but we'll look forward to seeing you guys in the workshop. And so Christine, any last words to everyone?
I have to say that the thing that I just want parents to understand, and I just want to reiterate what you were saying, is that we are all in this together. I don't think anybody is coming to this workshop as an expert in parenting. I think we're just trying to strategize and figure out what's going on with our kids, and recognize that we are all different, but that's what makes it beautiful. And
Exactly.
that's kind of what I want. I don't want anyone to think that we're trying to be experts at that. And that's why yoga is never really called a class. I don't know if you know that. We call yoga a practice, because
I love that.
never, ever perfect. 10 years of yoga, 1 year of yoga, 1 minute of yoga. Nobody's doing it perfectly. It's practice. And I think parenting is also practice.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's great. So with that, I'll say goodbye and thank you again. We'll see each other soon, and we'll connect again. And you have a fantastic day. And
Yes.
I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Okay. Bye.
Namaste.